Well, my name is Sergeant First Class Kelly Lord, and I am currently stationed at the Maneuver Center of Excellence in Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm an infantryman, and I've been in the Army for 11 years now.
You received the Drill Sergeant of the Year award, Sergeant Lord. Can you please tell me what that means to you?
Well, first of all, it's a huge honor being selected as the Fort Benning Maneuver Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year for 2020. It was a long road of competitions and selection boards all through 2020, and to represent Fort Benning in the All-Army Drill Sergeant of the Year competition and represent them well was a huge honor to be able to do that, John.
What makes a great drill sergeant?
Ooh, well, I'll tell you what, the drill sergeant hat and badge, it's like a giant satellite dish that just magnifies your personality. So whatever type of person you are before you put that hat on is what you're going to be, just magnified tenfold. So I'd say don't change who you are. If you are a good leader and you care for your soldiers and you maintain the standards and treat everyone with dignity and respect and never let those standards slide, that's, in my opinion, what makes a good drill sergeant. And as the Drill Sergeant of the Year, it was my job to certify new incoming drill sergeants who were graduating from the Drill Sergeant Academy and making sure that they were good to go and certified to teach on Fort Benning.
As a civilian, Sergeant Lord, what would I be surprised about to learn as part of the job of a drill sergeant?
I would say that we are human, and all the Army stereotypical drill sergeant types that you see in movies are maybe not exactly what you will get in your experience if you were to go through Army basic training or Infantry 1 Station Unit training in Fort Benning. But we are humans, we have our flaws, we have our shortcomings, but we always try and give our 100% to give the Army and the citizens of the country the dedicated and hardened and respectful soldiers that they need to win our nation's wars.
How soon after you enlisted did you know that you wanted to be a drill sergeant?
Well, I'll say this, there's something that maybe people don't know, but in the course of an enlisted soldier's life, if they stay in from the rank of staff sergeant on, it's a requirement that the Army asks of them to either become a recruiter or a drill sergeant. And I decided that through my experience, my first duty station was actually in the Presidential Escort Platoon in Fort Myer, Virginia. And we did ceremonies for the White House, Pentagon, and full honors funerals in Arlington Cemetery. And that kind of legacy of drill and ceremony, attention to detail, and training just stood with me my entire career. And I think it was an easy fit and a no-brainer for me to decide to choose to be a drill sergeant.
That's extraordinary to hear. And certainly we have seen ceremonies of that kind on television before, many of us. What is it like to be involved in these important ceremonies? Many of them, of course, are solemn. Also, there are some celebrations. What are the emotions like? I'm sure on the outside you have to have that stoicism, right? But on the inside, what does it feel like to be part of that?
Well, it is a humbling honor, Don, to know that you are in that moment, depending on what the ceremony is, and especially in the Old Guard. We are representing and being the face of the Army to maybe a family who's never interacted with the Army, if that's their first time going to Arlington Cemetery. We might be doing a wreath laying ceremony for a foreign dignitary coming to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And it was a huge responsibility that we made sure through drill and repetition and precision that we got it right and we stayed focused when a ceremony is being conducted.
Are there a couple of ceremonies in particular that stay in your heart or in your memory all these years later?
Oh, for sure. There was, our unit participated in the memorial service for the final surviving World War I veteran. And that was Corporal Buckles, and it was his name. And we were able to provide the services and respect for his interment. That one stands out. And My first ceremony as a young private was the retirement ceremony of the Sergeant Major of the Army, Sergeant Major Preston, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Mullen. So those are some notable ones that I got to rub shoulders with and be a part of.
Sergeant Lord, when we talk about team in sports, team is a very special word, certainly in a baseball team, but I often reflect that there is no greater team in our country than the military, because you come together for such a common cause from different backgrounds. How often do you reflect on the similarity of that bond and the importance of bringing together people of different talents and different backgrounds for a common cause?
Absolutely. It's a daily reflection for me as a leader and as a human being, really, to be able to take lots of different people from lots of different walks of life and be able to build that cohesive team. It's not an easy job, but it's one of the great things about the Army, where it takes all these people from walks of life and it brings them together in ways that you might not normally have that opportunity to get this cross section of not only the country, but around the world with other soldiers that come in from foreign countries because they want to become a citizen so badly that they fight along with us. So we get this chance to learn these cultures and other values and things that we may not have been exposed to otherwise. So it's a great experience that I'm so grateful for.
I read in your experiences that you had worked to train Shia militia while you were stationed in the Middle East, Sergeant. What about that experience stays with you to this day?
It was a very tense situation. I know that there were Sunni and Shia fighters that were working together to retake the city of Mosul, which at the time was occupied by ISIS fighters. And we essentially, before I even became a drill sergeant, I was essentially teaching Iraqi soldiers to retake and reclaim their own country and their own cities. So that was the building block of what eventually kind of turned into my drill sergeant career.
When you think about the importance of cohesion, as we've discussed, and teamwork, what are some of the more challenging moments that you've had while serving our country in the Army where that teamwork was especially crucial and vital to your success?
I would say that it's never easy building a team from the ground up, and being able to be understanding and know that not everybody shares your values and shares your understanding and worldview, but to be able to find where the common ground is, bring those teams together, and through shared hardship and rigorous training, break down the barriers that divide us and then bring us together into a cohesive team.
Sergeant, I also read that you have a great artistic side to you as well through playing the piano. What can you share with us about that?
Absolutely. Well, my mother was a singer growing up, and I always aspired to be her piano player. I was in front of audiences from a young age, and eventually that led me to earn a piano music scholarship at William Drew College in Liberty, Missouri, and which I attended for my freshman year. Unfortunately, my mother did pass away that year, and I had to drop out and take care of some family issues. But I always held what my mother instilled in me, and to this day, I actually volunteer to play every Friday at the Martin Army Community Hospital, which is the Fort Benning Post Hospital, and I play the piano every lunch period for the patients and staff at the hospital, just to give back.
Wow, what a tribute to your mother, and what a great service to the people there. That's extraordinary to hear, Sergeant. We commend you for certainly many things, but that's one of them here today. To ask about baseball, how important was baseball to you growing up in Monmouth County, New Jersey?
Baseball was huge for me. It was, looking back, one of the highlights and most memorable times of bonding with my father playing baseball. One of the most notable family anecdotes, believe it or not, is my stepfather, who raised my dad, was a Army Air Corps bomber radioman during World War II, and actually helped tow the glider planes that were used in the invasion of Normandy. When he came back from World War II, he was approached by a Brooklyn Dodgers talent scout and signed as a pitcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers. But his wife was so adamant that she didn't want him traveling around and not being there for the family that she convinced him to not sign, and he ended up not signing with the team. But forever, he regretted that. But at the same time, the silver lining is that he was able to be there and be an active father in his children's lives. So it's kind of a balance act.
Wow. And are there games that the Yankees played growing up, or special memories you have of going to Yankee Stadium or watching them on TV that stand with you to this day?
Believe it or not, so my dad was a huge Mickey Mantle fan, and his dad used to take him to games at Yankee Stadium growing up. And I never got a chance to go to Yankee Stadium and participate in that. But growing up, going to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, and just learning the history and culture just perpetuated my love for the game moving forward.
How much can baseball come up in conversation as you're serving in the Army with people from all around the country with different allegiances? How often can a favorite team, or maybe a rivalry even, help draw a group closer?
Okay, it's interesting. When I was stationed, I deployed to Iraq in 2015, and one of the only stations that we could get in the dining facility was of Major League Baseball games. And we would sit around watching, and it really didn't matter what the team was playing or who was rooting for it. It brought us all together with being able to have that common bond as baseball as that common thread. So just the unification of it, regardless of teams, that's what stood out in my mind.
Sergeant Lord, what does it mean to have that Braves jersey on, representing, of course, the home team of Fort Benning and the community in which that you're now raising your family?
It is a huge honor to be selected as the nominee for the Season Service through GEICO and to be Fort Benning's nominee. And I know it has my name on the back of it, but it represents all the names of all the outstanding people who live, work, and train and support the base here at Fort Benning. That's a huge honor.
And as a father, Sergeant Lord, what does it mean to be able to share your love of baseball with your children?
It is a huge, it's an undertaking, but it's an undertaking that I've always wanted to give to my children. I have two daughters, but they're 12 and 8, and they've already shown the love of the game. Being able to be there in Kansas City, won the Royals, won the World Series, and then just honestly, even through the love of watching games and baseball movies, from The Sandlot to Rookie of the Year, they love it and want to keep on perpetuating that legacy.
Beautifully said. It's so wonderful to hear, Sergeant. Anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to share with us here today as well?
Honestly, I think that really covers pretty much everything. I'm really honored, and I've been following you on Twitter and on Major League Baseball and Fox News and Sports. So it's great to be able to talk to you and be a part of this.
Well, Sergeant Lord, trust me, the honor is mine. I have such extraordinary respect for what you do and what you're, with the great men and women who serve our country, do every day. So just thank you from my family to yours for all your service, for all you continue to do and the way you represent our country, just to the absolute best and fullest extent. So thanks for the leadership that you show as a drill sergeant and all you do for our country.
I'll say that my father always said that when someone thanks you for their service, thank them for being the type of civilian worth serving for, and I know that you are and represent the civilians that we are proud to serve.
Sergeant, that means the world coming from you. Thank you so much for saying that, and thanks for all your time today. We really appreciate it. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.